Settle here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to change the smoke unit on a Broadway Limited Big Boy and how to improve it. Now, you're going to need a screwdriver, the new smoke unit obviously, and you're going to need smoke fluid to test it, and possibly a cotton ball to improve it if you want to use a cotton ball. So I'm going to show you how to open this. This will be the second time I've opened this, because the first time was when I showed the smoke unit and how I diagnosed a problem for it. And I'll show you which wires to unplug and how to plug the new wires in to the smoke unit. So let's go ahead and open 4018 up. So to open for the Big Boy, you will want to get a foam surface, which I will get in a second. There's a screw underneath the steam dome, and there's two screws underneath the firebox near the cab. So you need a screwdriver for that, and once we get the foam surface, we will begin opening the locomotive. So let me go get the foam padding and we'll start opening. Okay, so I got the foam padding that I'm going to be using. This foam padding comes from the box of the Big Boy that it comes in. So the box the Big Boy comes in, this is the foam padding that's on top of it when you open the box. So I'm going to be using this, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So like I said, there's a screw underneath the steam dome, and there's one underneath the firebox. And obviously what you want to do first is disconnect the tender and put the tender somewhere safe so that it doesn't break it, fall or anywhere. It's currently on the layout right now. And yeah, so let's go ahead and open this thing up. Okay, so I have the screws on the 4018 removed. We're going to remove the boiler. Now remember, this boiler is die cast, and another thing is that the smoke unit is screwed to the smoke box, so when you take it off, don't go like ripping it off like you would like with most locomotives, like diesels for example. The smoke unit is screwed to the locomotive smoke box, and it's plugged into the frame, and also not to mention the number boards and the classification lights are also plugged in as well. So carefully lift it off, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to unplug the smoke unit wires, which are these two plugs right here. So we're going to unplug those, and then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to unplug the middle two plugs down here. Those are for the lights on the on the top of the boiler, on top of the smoke box. So gonna unplug the smoke unit plugs. Gonna start with the big one first. Get that plug out, and be careful with these because these wires are very thin. And we will be reusing the plug, so because when you order the smoke unit, most of the time they won't come with the plug, and in this case it didn't. So we're gonna be careful to not damage the plug, because this is the only shot we've got with this. And careful not to pull on the wires itself. A little tough to get the smaller plug out. There we go. Got the small plug out. And like I said, you want to disconnect the middle two plugs on the lower part. So we're gonna disconnect those. You can disconnect the outer ones too, but it's not really recommended. And those ones are for the headlight, the light down here, the headlight itself, and then the track power. I just dropped my screwdriver. And get that with my foot. And carefully unplug the middle two plugs. Got one, got the other one. Alright, there we go. So now the boiler's free. So now that we got the boiler free, this is the frame, and in case you wonder what a Broadway Limited Big Boy looks like, well, there you go. I showed it in the review of this engine, but here's another look at it, so you can get a better look of what you'll be dealing with when you open the thing up. So this is what it looks like. We don't need this part, so what I'm going to do is set it over here. And remember, keep track of your screws as well. So what I'm going to be doing is putting the screws for the bottom of the boiler in the steam dome cap, so that way I don't lose them. There's one more screw as well. I don't know where it is. I was still on the frame. Oh, The screw's down there, but we'll get it later. But one other thing you might want to do is take like a cotton ball, and we're gonna need 2 cotton balls, but there is smoke residue inside the locomotive from the smoke unit, and that's what these cotton balls are going to be used for. These cotton balls are what I'm going to be using. These is that I'm gonna cut it up and put it in the smoke box down here, so that way any smoke fluid that does fall down here, it will absorb, and then the smoke fluid will not drip off or short out a plug or cause an electrical connection, because that can also happen with these Broadway engines because they don't really do too well idle, which isn't a bad thing, but you know, it's a shame, but you know, you can always fix that. So on to the important part of the video. Take a screwdriver. There are 2 screws right here for the smoke unit. You're going to undo those 2 screws, and like I said, make sure you keep track of those. Undo both of those. Drop the screwdriver. Also, be careful not to apply pressure to the top of the boiler, so you don't break anything like the whistle, for example, because that's very delicate. Alright, so now that we got the smoke unit out, now we take out those 2 screws and keep them there and set them right here. And here's a close-up of what it looks like. So there you go. You got the stack holes, and then you got the whistle hole. When you fill the thing up, pour it down the front hole, and don't pour it down the whistle hole. You can pour it down this hole too, but preferably pour it down here because it'll go right down into the smoke chamber. And those are the 2 fans down there for it, and these are the plugs. So we're gonna unplug these, and this is gonna be a little bit of a challenge to unplug, so I might do this off camera. But yeah. So those are the 2 plugs we're gonna be using, and that's the inside of the boiler itself. You see these 2 lights for the number boards and the class lights. You got those and that. And yeah. Alright, so now I'm just going to do the annoying process of unplugging these wires. And I just got to figure out a way to get into them without... Oh, I got one. Okay, good. I got one of the wires. No, one of the plugs, I mean. My bad. There we go. Alright, so that's the smoke unit. And put this in a parts bin. You might actually be able to rebuild this at a later date. I'm going to hold on to mine just in case I decide to, you know, fix it up, maybe find out what's wrong with it, learn the anatomy of a smoke unit, you know, learn from my mistakes and everything. So just keep this in a parts bin. I'm going to set it over here for now. I'm going to take our brand new smoke unit that I just got today and take it out of its bubble wrap and packaging. I've been waiting about 2 to 3 weeks for this, so I'm happy. And I got fluid, so that way my basement won't smell like factory smoke fluid, which smells bad. Really bad, actually. You can tell how much cleaner and newer that is. It looks so much better. So yeah, that's that. But yeah. So one of the last things, like I said, we're gonna do is before I put this thing back together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug these wires up into the smoke unit, right? But before we put the locomotive back together, I want to clean off all the smoke unit residue that's on it because it can cause a mess, and that's what those cotton balls are going to be used for. Because like I said, we're going to put it underneath the smoke unit so that way any residue catches it and absorbs it, so that way it doesn't short out anything and cause any issues. So we're going to clean up the smoke fluid with... You can use a cotton ball as well. It's like, and don't use it on like the top of the boiler itself, but what you want to do is just slowly rub like that, and it will take off most of the residue. Like that. Go very gentle. Be gentle as well, because you don't want to damage anything. Like the grab iron stack here or the deck plate. Because smoke residue can flow to the back, because, you know, it's fans. Fans are blowing the smoke out of the stack. That's the smoke that's being heated. So we're gonna clean that up on the boiler. So now that's all cleaned up on the inside of the boiler, or at least most of it's all cleaned up. Now that most of it's all cleaned up on the boiler, we'll do the same for the frame, and I'll show you how to do the frame as well. So what I'm gonna do is set this on my mouse pad because my mouse pad's also made out of foam, and set these here before I plug those in. Make sure not to lose anything. Be careful with the frame as well. And also be careful with the steam pipe in the center right here. There's a E-ring there that holds it together. Speaking of E-rings, my Challenger was when I got it, it was missing the middle steam pipe, but no big deal because it doesn't really do too much for structural. But yeah, that's just one thing to note. Be careful because, you know, cotton balls can also hang up on stuff as well. So you might not want to use a cotton ball, but that's just what I'm using. But you can use it to clean off smoke residue. Just be very careful to not get any of the fibers hung up, because it can cause problems if you do so. Like one's right here. I kind of regret that a little bit, but we'll be fine. And this is the one that I use for cleaning it up. The other one we're going to use and cut up for the smoke unit. So now that we cleaned that up, and not really too hard to clean up, now that we've cleaned that up and stuff, we're going to plug the wires into the back of the smoke unit. So the big end plugs in to here, or both wires. The small end plugs into the smoke unit itself. So now we're going to plug that in. Be very gentle as well, just to warn you. There you go. We got that wire in. I got that plug. Now we're going to do the other plug. We're going to take it, right, and plug it in. Very simple. And that's one thing I really like about Broadway steam engines as well. They're very, very maintenance friendly is what I would say. They're maintenance friendly because of the plug and play type deal. Except, you know, there's a lot of plugs and you got to be very careful what you're doing. But yeah, just be very careful. And that's what, like I said, that's one of my favorite things about Broadway so far. I've liked about this big boy, even though it's the only Broadway engine that I have. But still, that's one thing I've just liked about it, because it's how ease of maintenance how maintenance friendly it really is. And yeah, so that's that. So now we've plugged it in. We're gonna take this, set it to the side. We're gonna take the boiler itself, and like I said before in my video, just holding the boiler itself is just very heavy. It's just, you can feel how well this thing is built. I mean, when people say that this is built well, they're not kidding. This thing is built like it's a solid piece of metal. This thing's, I was about to say plastic when I know dang well this is not plastic. I'm still in Challenger mode. But yeah, this thing is solid and it's very, very heavy. So yeah, be very careful. Make sure you don't drop it. And take the smoke unit, put it back where it's supposed to go. And take our 2 screws and put them in there. Take those. I just missed a hole for the screw. Okay. You might want to use a magnetic screwdriver. Unfortunately, I'm not fortunate to have one of those at the moment, but you know, that's all I also recommend is a magnetic screwdriver. Well, I have one, but it's too big for this, so I will strip the screw if I use it, so I'm not going to use it. So that's just one thing to note. But a magnetic screwdriver would probably work way better for this. We're going to take our screws and put them in a little hole socket. And then we're going to put it in the hole so that way it can... Okay, well, I'll put it in last then. Just try again. Okay, well, yeah, that's fine enough. Alright, so we're going to take the screw and we're going to screw it in place. We take the smoke unit and screw it into place. Be careful with it. As usual, with most things in model railroading, be very careful because you don't want to break it and cost more money for you to spin. Because that's never fun. Here we go. Got the second screw in. A little bit finicky, but we got it. And there we go. Now the smoke unit's on. Inspect for damage as well, just to make sure no damage. We're all set. So now we're going to take our smoke unit unsmoked fluid cotton ball. I'm going to break it up or cut it up, or whatever you choose to do. I'm going to set it down in here. And the goal, like I say, is to basically prevent the smoke fluid from um, getting everywhere, from spraying everywhere inside the frame, because smoke is, you know, um, how do I say it? Smoke fluid is basically being heated or sprayed everywhere inside the frame, so you don't want to do that. So before I connect the wires, one thing I want to do is test for fit to make sure that the smoke fluid will, the cotton ball will fit inside. Gonna have to break it up a little bit more. Just a little bit. Not too much. It doesn't have to be too big and too small. That might be, break it up a little bit more actually. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, that's good. That should be fine. Test one more time for fit. Tuck these in so that I can test it again. Also, one more thing as well, you can also add weight if you really wanted to, but let's be honest, who's going to add more weight to a thing that's already this heavy? So I don't really think you need any more weight, to be honest. Okay, so I don't think that the cotton ball will fit unless I do this and put it right here. I don't really want to put it over the E-ring because it could probably get caught inside the ring when it spins. Because there's a pipe there that moves. The E-ring actually moves with the front engine, so I don't know how that will work or how that will play out. Because I don't want to break anything, like I said. And I was fortunate to get this thing under warranty, so that was also a blessing. But I really don't want to break anything. Because, especially for a locomotive that costs this much, definitely don't want to break anything. Okay. So I don't think I can get a cotton ball in there, but that's one way of how you can prevent your fluid from spraying everywhere. But unfortunately, I can't get it in there, which is surprising. But that's a shame. But oh well, not really too important, too much of a deal. Oh, careful. So now you take this, and you want to take your light wires first before you take the smoke unit wires. The white one goes on the right and the brown one goes on the left. I mean, the brown one goes on the right from the way I'm sitting. If you're looking at the locomotive from the front at least, which you probably most likely will, the brown one will go on the right and the white one will go on the left. So let's plug the brown one in first. And before you plug it in, expect for any wire breaks. There are no wire breaks, so we're going to plug it in. Be very careful. Like with most things. Okay. Oh. It's hard to do it, especially when you have to hold the boiler as well, so that way that nothing breaks or snags. Okay. Plug it in. If I can get it lined up properly. I think it's lined up now. There we go. So we got that wire. Take the white one, at least a white plug is what it would be, so wires aren't white, and line it up, and plug it in. A little bit of a struggle this time in unplugging it, like with most things. It's easier to take things apart than to put them back together at times. Like the old phrase says, because I'm trying not to pull on or touch the wires, really, to be honest. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a challenge. Maybe I have it upside down. Let's try it that way. Let's try it the other way. I might have it upside down then. That might be one problem. That's one thing I am figuring out. I might be surprised if I have it upside down. But you know, like with most things, you get 50-50 chance of it being one way or the other way. I'm gonna do this off camera. Okay, I got it plugged in, which took a little bit longer than what it should have, but yeah, so now we're gonna take our smoke unit wires, if I can get them this time as well, and plug the small one in to its socket. Plug the small one in, and then take the bigger plug and plug the big one in. And if you're under 13, make sure you have an adult with you, like your dad or your mom or someone who knows stuff about this, or at least knows a little bit about electronics and this type of stuff, so that way they can supervise you. But if you don't know what you're doing, then you could damage your model and have to spend a fortune to fix it, which isn't fun. And repairing models can be fun, but if you don't know what you're doing, then it's not. So now we're gonna take. Now we got that on. I'm gonna take the grab irons on the front of the boiler and put them in to their respective holes on the walkways, because there's the grab irons go into the walkways. There we go. Got that one. I gotta do this one. Try to get it in. And make sure the cab is also seated down. That might be also one problem of why it might not be seating properly. Hold on. Let me lift the boiler up a little bit. Let's get this back in. And make sure you don't pinch the wires as well when you seal the boiler as well. That's another thing you want to be aware about. Because you don't want to really push down too hard, because the front engine as well, you don't want to really do any damage to that. I was going to do this part off camera as well, because it's going to take a minute to get the grab irons back in. Okay, so now that we got the grab irons back in, we can go ahead and start reassembling the locomotive. So now, what I'm going to do is put the steam dome screw back in, and screw it down. Put the steam dome cover back on. It's like a key, so it only goes on one way, so you can't mess it up. You mess it up, there's something wrong with you. Just being honest. Now the grab iron's back in, we're gonna flip the locomotive back over. We're gonna take our last two screws. Be careful with the front engine as well. Make sure that it does not break, or anything bad can happen. We're going to take our two screws and we're going to put them in this hole here, if you can see it, and I hope you can. There's a hole here, and there's a hole on the other side in the same spot. We're going to take our screws and we're going to screw them in there. We'll take this one, Drop it in. There we go. And before you put it on the track, make sure your smoke unit is on. And before before you load it with smoke fluid, Jesus Christ, I can't speak today as well. Don't make sure your smoke unit's not hot, but when you load smoke unit in. So I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second, as soon as we get this thing fully assembled. Now that we got it fully assembled, and we inspect it again for damage, we take it. Be very careful with it. I probably should not done it like that, but yeah. We're going to inspect it for damage. No damage. Everything's in the respective holes, slots, everything. Boiler's seated properly. Cab is also seated properly as well. We're all set. Let's go run the thing. Oh wait. Yep, cab is seated properly. So let's go and load smoky fluid in, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're here on the track as well. I'm holding the camera, by the way, and I've got some of the MTH Proto smoke fluid, and I'm gonna pour it down the front stack. The three to four drops of that should be enough. Okay, we got that. Now, I'm going to set the camera down for a second and close the bottle back up so it doesn't spill over. And now, I'm going to blow down the stack so that way all the residue gets down there. I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to start it up. I'm going to give it a second for it to warm up. You can hear the fan. You might be able to hear the fan going. I don't know if you can, but the fan is going. I'm going to mute the sound real quick. Yep, fan's going. And you can see it. It's starting to smoke. And it's starting to smoke. Let's blow the whistle. Oh, it needs to warm up a little bit more. Yep, there it goes. Starting to smoke. Let's move it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Let's back it up. Okay, for some reason my number boards aren't working, but we'll figure that out later. I might have plugged them in the wrong spot. I don't know. We'll check that later, though. But, yeah, smoke unit's working. So let's blow the whistle. For some reason, the whistle's not working correctly, but I'll figure that out in a minute. But nonetheless, the smoke unit's working. That's a whole lot of it too. I'm pretty sure I have the wires plugged in the wrong thing. And at the end of the video, I will edit in a comment at the end of the video saying if that was the case. So, yeah. I want to see, because for some reason the whistle is not doing anything. Hold on, let's see. Probably this crappy system as usual. Thing. For some reason, easy command won't work. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. And I did figure out what the problem was. There was no smoke in the whistle, so now, if I blow the whistle, now smoke comes out of the whistle. So there was just no smoke in the whistle. Broadway doesn't really tell you a good way to put smoke in the whistle, so I would suggest be very careful, but there's a little hole under the whistle. They really don't tell you to put smoke under the whistle, but you kind of really have to. It's get a syringe or like something really thin that could slip underneath, because there's like a little pipe that goes in, and then put fluid in there that way. That's what I would recommend, because that's what I did. I used a funnel in this case, but I don't recommend using that because you could break the whistle. But yeah, other than that, it's working. My number boards and class lights, the wires aren't broke, so that's a blessing. But however, for some reason, I guess the light bulb burned out or something like that. So I'll have to get that fixed or something. Probably just change them out. It shouldn't be too hard. It looks like they can just pull off and you change them yourself, but I don't know. I don't want to test that yet. Not a big deal, but at least my headlight works, which is the main one that really matters. But it's still irritating because you pay $500 and your stuff burns out. But oh well. But I'll leave with a couple of run-bys with the big boy pulling the freight train with the smoke on. So yeah. So I'll see you next time, guys.